What's up, everybody? My name is Brendan Harberts. I'm the owner of Harberts Media, located in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and welcome back to my very inconsistent but sometimes entertaining, hopefully, YouTube channel. So it is December 17, it is 10 p.m., and I was just sitting here getting some somewhat late night work done, and I was thinking to myself, I should record the good and the bad of 2024 video, because I am weirdly someone who I actually process things a lot better when I talk about them, and I think that's seriously why I talk to myself so much, which is 100% a very true fact. I have had agents bring it up to me in houses that I'm shooting. They will say, like, did you know that, like, you kind of mumble to yourself, like if you're in like a different room or if you're downstairs? And I'm like, yeah, I know, that's just like how I process stuff in my brain. So I decided it would be a good idea to talk about some of the highlights and the lowlights of this year, and how I can hopefully improve on the bad and also continue to grow the good. Also, hope you guys like the more professional looking setup. I have my light behind the camera so you can actually see me well, and I have my microphone because in that last video I did in my office, excuse me, you could hardly hear me because when I'm not yelling like a maniac, I actually have a kind of a soft spoken voice. I actually did a podcast like a few months ago with someone, and the guy that was doing the audio had to adjust a bunch of stuff because like my microphone speaking voice like this, like for what I would do for a podcast, it's actually very soft, but I apparently have a lot of bass to my voice. So it was just sounding like I was like rumbling in the microphone. And it's like, well, yeah, the alternative to this would be me just yelling and talking super loud because I have a very loud voice if I don't control it. So we're going to have to just find a happy medium. But until then, this is what we are going to have to do. I thought it was kind of funny that the last video I filmed in here looked and sounded terrible, and I literally run a media company, and I was like, well, someone would watch this and they're like, well, what's his production value like? They're going to see what I'm putting out there and be like, well, this guy sucks. No one would think that, but that's just what my brain says. Okay, so I have a little list here on my Google Docs, and I have a good list and I have a bad list typed out. So first and foremost, the good this year. 2024 was a phenomenal year of business for Harberts Media. I made a lot more money this year. I gained a ton of new clients that I work with on a daily or on a probably a weekly basis at this point. This year, I grew pretty much every aspect of my business that I wanted to. And yeah, I literally don't have any complaints about this year in regards to revenue, in regards to growth and overall numbers, in regards to, you know, adding on people to my roster of people that I work with consistently. That's always a good feeling because I am now 4.5 years into being self-employed, and basically 4.5 years of doing real estate media work full time. And it's always cool to add on people at this whole point because, and this is not to be self-aggrandizing or anything, but like if you haven't, like most people that are in the real estate world have probably heard of my business if they do like photos and stuff like that, and they've just been using someone else or they've been doing it themselves. And if they end up using me now, it means that they somehow were swayed to give me a try. And if they continue to come back, it means that I'm doing a good job, which is cool. And that's always a good feeling, you know, because when you're first coming up in any industry, like you're adding, you know, if you're good at what you do, you're adding people left and right to your team. And now that I've been doing this for quite a while and I'm pretty established, I would say, I kind of look at anyone new that reaches out as like, hey, I see the work you're doing and like, I want to be part of that. And I want that to represent me as a business person as well. So that's always a good feeling. Another great thing that happened this year was I added my first Harberts Media official team members. I added 2 official team members this year, one of which is Axel. He lives in Mexico. He is my video editor. He helps me with a lot of projects because I have 0 time to do any sort of video editing throughout my busy season. I don't like doing it, and I hate doing it, and he takes on that workload for me. He is essentially the Harberts Media team video editor. Then I also added on Mason, who many people who I work with have met at this point. He does all of my drone stuff. He helps me with a lot of my 3D tour stuff. He worked quite a few weddings this year as well. And he helps me with a lot of various projects basically throughout the week that I either don't have time to do or I personally don't want to take time to do. Not that it's like a bad project, but like if something just maybe isn't worth my time to go and do, and he'll take care of those projects for me, and he's been doing a great job. He's been a very quick learner, which is great in a world as hectic as the real estate world. But he has a very bright future in this industry. And I hope he can stick around for a long time before he gets too busy doing his own thing, because he does video work as well with both weddings and corporate work. But hopefully he can stick around for a long time. I'm going to start getting him into or I already have started getting him into houses to photograph them, which would be really nice for next year because, as we'll talk about later, it was very, very overbooked this year, which is my own fault. But having someone else to take on some of that load, or to even just, be able to knock out smaller projects that, maybe it just isn't necessarily worth my time to do throughout the day, would be a big deal. Another cool thing that I did this year was I traveled for my first wedding. In October, at the end of October, I was hired to go down and film for Caitlin and Gunnar down in the Florida Keys. They go to the same CrossFit gym that my wife goes to and that I occasionally go to as well. They had seen that I do weddings and decided to give me a chance to go down there and film their wedding day, and it was a super cool experience. Filming a wedding is always like an honor because you're being trusted to document a day which has had months of planning go into it, and a lot of money goes into weddings, and a lot of stress and energy and tears and happiness and joy, and being trusted to film those is always something you shouldn't take lightly. And especially when you're going to get flown out there to go and do it at a place like the Florida Keys. We were at a beautiful resort. We had fantastic weather while we were down there, and it was a really, really cool experience. And I always look back at stuff like that when I travel, and I'm always like, I wish I could enjoy stuff like that a little bit more in the moment, because while I'm there, it is a vacation in theory, because I'm leaving Sioux Falls. I'm going somewhere nice, beautiful, great weather. But while I'm there, I'm also working. So I wish I had the ability to enjoy being in the moment a little bit more versus kind of being so hyper OCD stressed about filming and getting everything done. Which I'm not blaming anyone. That's my own fault because I could work and also enjoy it while I work. But for me, when I'm working and it's hyper focused on it. I wish I had the ability to do both better, but that's something I'm gonna have to work on, is just kind of being present in the moment, not always wondering what the next thing is that I have to get done or wondering where the next place I have to be is, and just kind of taking life as it comes towards me. But that was a super cool experience. I had a lot of fun doing that, and thank you again to them for bringing me down there. I had never been to the Keys before, so I had no idea that the Florida Keys were one long string of highway with islands on it underneath Florida. So that was a fun surprise. Number 4, I traveled with my wife. Ken and I went down to Arizona in November, shortly after the Florida trip, actually. She competed in a CrossFit competition, which was super cool to go and watch her. That was down in Arizona, in Tempe, Arizona, which is a metro, or however you say it, of Phoenix. We spent a week down there. Her competition took a few days, and then we took a few days to just kind of relax and explore before heading back. That was a lot of fun. I always like to make it a goal to go somewhere with Ken every single year, and I don't think we did last year. I guess we went to Hawaii with my family, But the year before that, we definitely didn't. So that was kind of fun to take a vacation with just us and get away for a little bit. It's important to travel when you're younger, and I'm 29, so I'm still considering myself pretty young, but, I'm getting up there. People that are 45 are probably going to be like, shut your freaking mouth, man. But I think it's important to travel with you and your spouse while you're young without kids because, in the next 3 to 4 years, God willing, we'll have children. And it'll be harder to do it. We're still going to do it because I believe you certainly can still do it. But I like to make sure that we're taking advantage of this time we're at now and just doing fun stuff together because time freaking flies. And this year flew by. And it's like terrifying how fast it goes the older you get. And I want to make sure that I'm filling this time with fun stuff. The last thing we're going to talk about, and this isn't like the last good thing that happened this year, but I didn't want to have 47 things written down, was we built a fence in our yard, or we put up a fence in our yard. We didn't actually put it up. We hired someone to do it. But that was something we had been wanting to do for a very long time. Fences are very expensive, so we are obviously thankful to be able to do that this year. And you know what? No matter how expensive it is, being able to just open the door of the backyard and let the dogs run out and seeing them run and play and jump on each other, it's priceless. So if you have a dog or dogs and you have a backyard that could be fenced in and you're on the fence, just put the fence up because you won't regret it. Just put it on a credit card. You're fine. Oh, also, I guess one more good thing that I can throw in here quick is in 5 days, I am getting LASIK eye surgery. I was wearing contacts for the last, 7-8 years or so. And eventually was just you know what? I'm sick of buying these. They're expensive. I don't like them. My eyes get dried out all the time. I'm going to finally just go get LASIK. So I went in for a consult. They did all the testing. They said I'm a perfect candidate for LASIK. And next Monday on the 23rd, I am getting LASIK eye surgery. So hopefully the next time you see me, if I don't put out a video before then, I'll be like, it went so good. And I'm sure it will because I'm going to Vance Thompson, which is one of the best places you can possibly go in the entire United States. And I'm excited. I keep getting asked if I'm nervous, and I'm actually weirdly not nervous. I'm sure I will be when I finally get in there for the surgery, but I don't know, I don't really get nervous about stuff anymore, which is probably a problem. Stuff doesn't make me nervous anymore, which is weird. I don't know. I'm sure I will be when I get in there, but as of right now, I'm not very nervous at all. I'm excited. It's a good thing that I'm going to be doing for myself that I've been wanting to do for a while, but now we have the means to do it. It's I'm going to reward myself for a great year. Okay, so now not to be a downer, but we have to talk about the bad. I don't have a ton written down here because truthfully there wasn't a lot of bad things that happened this year. It was just more of a funk I've been in with certain stuff. And it just kind of cast a shadow on this year. And I just want to talk about it. Kind of talk about how I process things and how I deal with things. And go from there. So the first thing was, this was definitely the most stressful year of my life in a lot of ways. And I don't think I processed that stress super well. I am someone who internalizes my stress quite a bit, and I have the mindset of if something is stressing me out, just suck it up, get over it, and keep pushing forward. And in many ways, that's a good thing because that's how I've built a successful business. Is I just don't stop working, and if shit happens, and I get over it. But, internalizing stress like that does cause a toll on you mentally. And in a lot of ways, it was a very tough mental year in that aspect as well. And the thing I kept thinking to myself was everything in my life is good, and I should be happier than I am right now. So why am I not happy? And that's a hard question to ask yourself, because one, it causes self-reflection, and it causes you to think about, well, what does happiness mean? Because your definition of happiness changes as you get older. When you're 5 years old, it's a new toy. When you're 10 years old, it's a new bike or whatever. When you're 15, it's getting a new cell phone. When you're 25 or when you're 20, it's graduating college. Whenever, I don't know when kids graduate college. I didn't go to college. But now I'm 29. So I have to ask myself, like, am I not happy, or am I struggling to, I don't know, like, am I struggling to figure out what happiness is for me at this stage in my life? Because it sounds weird, but I was almost happier 4 years ago when I was making like a tenth of the money I am now, with hardly any customers, and growing a very small business and trying to make it into a living. And it's like, well, why was I happier then? I didn't have as much going on. I didn't have as much business. I had way less money. I had way less opportunity. And then I, kind of think to yourself, like, am I someone who enjoys like the chase of something more than the actual benefits of something? And that could be. Or is it, I've been so desensitized to good things in business because I've had great years in a row. Am I now desensitized to it and I'm bored? I don't know. Like, it's a lot of questions I have to ask myself and internalize and think, like, why am I not happier? Why am I not feeling a more euphoric feeling of, like, I just had a freaking amazing year of business. I just made a ton of money. I did everything I wanted to do this year business wise, and I'm ending the year kind of just feeling like, okay, like, yeah, cool. Like, it happened, I don't like that. I don't know. So those are things I have to personally process myself, and those are things I have to work on and try to figure out, what is it going forward at this point in my life that is going to make me happy? Because as weird as this sounds, like, I can't have another year like this year if I want to keep doing this. And I know that sounds weird because I had a great year in a lot of ways, but I can't do it again. Not like this. So I need to figure out ways to essentially keep filling my cup, which I think what makes me happiest is building things and creating things, and that feeling of continual advancement in any aspect. So for me, it's like, well, what am I going to do next year that is going to fill that cup for me? And I don't want to make any of this seem like I've maxed out like my media company, because there's a million things that I can still do with it. There are people out there I still want to work with. There's a lot that I still want to do with it. But it's kind of like, I don't want everything good in my life to be work. I don't want everything good in my life to be money. So I have to figure out, what is it next year that is going to basically give me a sense of fulfillment while also progressing my life better I don't know how else to say that. Like, I need to find things that give me a sense of fulfillment while also making me feel like I am advancing in a positive way in my life. That was very drawn out. I'm just like I said, I'm someone that I do best when I talk things out with myself. And even just talking there, it was just kind of like, yeah, that is the issue. So problem solved. Goodbye, everyone. No. let's talk about the second thing this year that I wasn't super stoked about. And this one is, I'm not overly happy with myself and my performance in my business this year in certain ways. This has been like the first year where like I kind of like started to slip on stuff. Like I didn't get stuff back to, like, not all the time, obviously, as if that was the case, people would be not using me. But I just made like weird mistakes this year where like I would not send stuff when I was supposed to, or I'd forget to send stuff, or I would, be late on projects because it was just a stupid, like mistakes that I made, or miss not putting stuff into my calendar correctly. It just was like weird stuff that probably is more of a symptom of just being really busy, and that is just the nature of having a thriving and busy business. But I don't like it because I don't like letting people down, and I don't like letting people down, especially who are longtime clients of mine. And people have been very understanding this year. They know that through a lot of the year I am just ungodly busy. And it's true, and I appreciate that patience, but I've told people like, hey, like, it's okay to give me a hard time with stuff. Like, I'm not gonna blacklist you from my business if you reach out to me because I haven't sent you the thing you paid me to do. Like I need people to keep me on my toes, and that's how I work best, is when people are like, hey, where the fuck is my like photos, where it's maybe not that language, but I am at my best where I have high expectations on me. And I feel like part of this was probably like mental burnout as well, because just from being very busy. But a lot of times this year I found myself just like, I'll do that later, or I'll get that project done later when I have like a spare hour of time. And that's just not a good way to do business and continue to keep your clients and grow and get new clients, because you want to make sure that you're reliable, because being reliable in your business is one of the most important aspects you can have. So to kind of summarize that point, I don't want to miss as much next year, for lack of a better word. I don't want to have as many like, hey Brendan, where's so-and-so, or where's this project, or have you sent this over yet? And I don't want to have those next year. I want to get better at just like mentally pushing through those times where I'm like just exhausted or just over it, and just getting stuff done, because sometimes it's like a 10-minute job, but it's like the most extreme amount of effort to get stuff done, and I need to get better at just pushing through that. And the last thing I'm going to talk about here, because this video is getting a little bit long. We're like 20 minutes. Wow. I could talk forever. Like I said in my last video, or a few of my other videos, it was not healthy this year. I ballooned up pretty heavy. I got up to like, like 260 at my heaviest, which is a lot. You could probably see it in my face. I understand. I get it. I'm not so chiseled anymore. I understand. I'm getting back there. I will say I've been really good the last like few weeks of actually making sure I get my workouts in. And a big part of that has been that I've been pretty stringent with like being done working at a certain time, so that way I actually have time to go work out and train. Part of that is the time of year, because I like literally cannot work past a certain time because it's too dark. But that is something I am going to carry over into next year, is being like, hey, I'm going to be done by 5. I will be done. And a part of that will be, my employee, Mason, helping me out with taking photos as well, if we can get that going, where it's like, hey, I can't do it, but he can fit you in at this time. So that way it's not so much like, I really need these done, can you put it at the end of the day? And then I just keep doing that, and then I have 4 straight days of working till 7 p.m. I can't do that again. I'm not going to do that again next year. As, like I said, this last year was a terrible year for my health and fitness, and I have a goal that I will hit, and it's by my 30th birthday, which is going to be February 23 of 2025. That sounds weird. In 2 months, I'm going to be 30. Wow. I get asked by people who are older than me, like, how does it feel that you're going to be 30 pretty soon? My mom asked me this the other day. I've had a few agents ask me because they know my birthday is in the winter and they were wondering how old I was. But I've been asked a few times, how does it feel to get closer to 30? And I'm not dreading it. I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's because I've done quite a bit in my 20s. I've experienced a lot in my 20s. I've had a lot of success in my 20s as well. And I don't know. I feel like if you're scared of getting older, it means that you're lacking something. And I feel like it means that you don't feel like you've done enough to warrant the age you are. Maybe that's not always the case. Maybe it's just some people have like a genuine fear of getting older and death and stuff like that, which is understandable. But like for me, like I'm kind of ready to start a new decade because like it's kind of gonna be nice to just move into like that next fun chapter where like I'm still pretty young, where like my body's healthy and I'm young and healthy and I can do everything I want to do, but I'm also established. I have money and I can just go do whatever I want. So it's like a weird, complete polar opposite of when I was 20. When I turned 20, I was in college and you have no money. You have no ability to do anything that you want because you don't know how to do anything. And now I'm at a point where it's the opposite of all that. And so to summarize that, I'm not worried. I'm excited to turn 30. I think it'll be great. Anyways, I have a goal to get to my healthiest point that I've been at by my 30th birthday. So obviously I have a ways to go, but I will get there. I've been doing really good this week, and I'm counting the wins. I've realized that my stress response is to eat, which is a very common one because it's comforting, it's easy, it's very accessible in everyone's house, and it's fun to do because food tastes good, especially good food like Oreos and Kit Kats and M&Ms and bacon cheeseburgers from your local gas station. Don't eat those. But that, comes with why I'm going to be setting more stringent guidelines this year about making sure that I'm able to take care of myself. And because I think that's a big part of why I just don't feel good about myself. It's because I haven't been taking care of myself. And I know that, I'm a pretty self-conscious person still. And I think that's like the missing thing in my life. How I was talking earlier about how I just feel unfulfilled, and it's weird because like I look back and think about like, well, when was I happiest in my adult life? And truthfully, it's been like the times in my life where I looked the best. I was taking great care of myself. I was in the gym a lot. I was social with people there, and that's just something I need to make a priority. So for 2025, that is absolutely going to be a priority. And I promise it will be. It's going to be. And you guys are going to see a whole new and improved version of me. Because if I don't know what's going to happen. That sounded kind of morbid. I didn't mean it like that. But if I don't, it's not going to be good. Anyways, this video is getting long. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe if you want or don't. I don't really care. And yeah, I'll see you next time.